crabs bite down, the table shakes. One man bends, the other breaks. No mercy here, just pain and breaks. Welcome to the table case.
What's up, my brother? How are you doing, man? What's happening?
I'm doing good. How you doing these days, man?
Chocolate Thunder in the house. I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I'm glad to have you on. Thanks for doing this. I know you're busy. You were just saying off air that this is like the third podcast you've done this week. So,
yeah, but you know what? What's that old saying goes that if you like what you do, then you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, that's true, dude.
With this right here, I'm not getting paid for it, but I just like doing it because it's just because one of these days I'm not gonna be able to get more. So some way, somehow I gotta, find a way to still be involved with the sport, whether that be in refereeing, whether that be in doing podcast shows. If I'm a guest on someone's show or I host it, I gotta stay with it, one way or the other. You can't get hurt that way either.
Yeah, that's true, right? Your ego doesn't get bruised either, so it's good that way. Hey, I got to ask you, like you probably have the longest running podcast now. How long have you been doing Arm Talk?
Let's see here. I want to say 2016 is when I started.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, right when I broke my first arm.
And here's the funny part. So when I first started, I mean, look at the background now. You see the lights now and the little Arm Talk logo that's lit up, and when I first started this, I did this in my garage. Facebook Live. So
yeah, dude,
we've come a long way and stuff. And then, I got the trophy shelving in the back too, and all that kind of stuff. And I just like doing it. And before, I don't know if I told you last time I was on your show that I would have a paper and I would have like 4 or 5 questions, and I would ask my guests the questions, and then my shows were like 25 minutes, a half hour. And I thought I was doing something then, but as you get better with this thing, it's just like you're just talking shop, And next thing you know, you did an hour,
That's how I treat it. People ask me, "Oh, what are you going to ask me?" I'm going to ask you about your career and your training. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I just like having a conversation, have it organic. But if there's like someone I don't know as good as I know you, I might like kind of have some like questions that I want to ask them about, like where they're at or something that I might forget, or I'll write something down while I'm talking so that I'll remember the point or something, so I'm not cutting people off. I'm trying to get better at not cutting people off when I'm when they're talking or whatever. But you're right, it's a progression. I remember doing Blog Talk. I was doing Arm Wrestling Nation Radio off Blog Talk Radio, dude. I didn't even have a friggin' screen. I liked it. I liked it a lot better because I didn't have to look at a camera, or I could be like just getting it. It was like a radio show, so I kind of liked that back then. But this is fun now too.
My favorite episode of all time from that show was when you had Tom Nelson on. And for the love of me, I can't find it. It was entertaining.
I think they deleted my channel, dude, off that Blog Talk. I can't find any of that stuff. Yeah, it's so weird.
Dang, because I would be like, man, I need something to do. Like, how like if I'm doing the yard, like mowing the lawn or whatever, if I'm doing housework, whatever, I would put in my earbuds and I would listen to Blog Talk, right? And so anytime I was feeling like, not motivated or anything like that, I would put in that episode where you and Tom Nelson, it was like, man, it just brighten my day because he's a character in himself. And then the way you asked the questions and it got him all riled up. It's just, to me, it was entertaining. And then for some reason, it like went off, and then all of a sudden you came back with your show. So it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. I kind of been back and forth with doing this kind of stuff, but I really like doing the interviews now, a little bit different. I like, I do this podcast, Table Kings, and then I do The Unbroken, which I really enjoy that because I talk to a lot of people that make comeback stories that have been through, facing adversity and stuff. So it kind of goes good with my channel, and I'm kind of like you. Just, not making any money at it, but, doing this kind of, staying involved in the sport. I'll be 55 in December, and I'm not pulling as much as I was when I was younger, but I'm kind of falling back in love with arm wrestling again. It's really interesting because I find like when you get ranked, you start like avoiding pulling. I don't know if everybody does that, but for me, I was like, I got to keep this, 9th place North American ranking because I beat Doug Allen coming off the couch one year, and then then it's like I'm afraid to do these tournaments because if I lose, then such and such beats me. But now that I'm not in the rankings anymore, and I'm kind of just like fell back in love with arm wrestling again, and I want to just pull whoever, and that's what I want. I wanted to get back to that, just having fun again, and pulling whoever. It doesn't have to be a name.
I'm so glad you brought that up because we can kick things off with that. Because when you ask me this stuff, I'm gonna tell you how it is. So let's talk about that for a second. Rankings, and you said there are some people once they do get ranked, they kind of shy away from competing because they want to hold on to that. And for some, that's probably all they got. But they got to realize, though, you had to put all that hard work in just to get recognized to be ranked. So why would you stop now, right? But I'll give you a couple examples. One, Austin Jaggers. If you look at the In the Hook rankings on Facebook, which I don't think is accurate because they need whoever's running that need to update it or something.
Chances.
Here's Austin Jagger. He is, if you look at the right hand super heavyweight, and I've always said this if you watched any of my shows, my argument, he cannot go any higher than he is right now. He's ranked number 6 because the 5 guys ahead of him all pull internationally. So he's never going to go any higher because you got to realize those 5 guys ahead of him, if we're talking, Michael Todd or Dave Chafee or Devin Laird or whatever, Corey West or whatnot, those guys ahead of him, if Austin goes, hey, I'll challenge you to a match, they're like, dude, they pull East versus West. They pull KOT when that was the thing. And either, hey, you want to pull me, it's got to be a lot of money up for grabs. And what promoter is going to pay that kind of money to those guys to have a match with Austin Jaggers? Or, and I'm not putting words in nobody's mouth, that they think, well, if I'm pulling the likes of Hermes Gasparini, Vitaly Loletin, if I'm pulling the likes of freaking, Levon Stagnesvili, and then I want to pull Austin, it doesn't motivate them. And I think Jerry's up in that class too, but it doesn't motivate them. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just from a ranking standpoint, Jaggers can't go any higher. That he's just stuck right there. So there's one problem. The second problem, which you brought up, is that people tend to hide about that. There's guys out there, there's ladies out there that want to protect that one spot. I'm like, that tells me that some way, somehow they lost connect. They lost connection with the sport because once upon a time, there was a reason why you, myself, and the audience got into the sport was to compete. And you spent all that time in the gym training, posting stuff on, Instagram and Facebook and all kind of social media outlets and YouTube and stuff. Why not compete? Because this sport, you got to realize that if you're in it long enough, you're going to take losses. I've taken losses. You've taken losses. The best of the best have taken losses. Devin, John, Michael, Jerry, the list goes on and on. They've all taken losses. So to sit there and try to protect that ranking for what? Because honestly, if anybody was really on top of the rankings, I think the Arm Fighter is probably more accurate because there are more people on the board actually looking at that kind of stuff. But if you're anybody, just compete. What are you afraid of? I never understood that. Never understood that.
And a lot of, just to piggyback off what you're saying too, a lot of those guys are under contract too, and they don't want to pull these other events, and also if you look at the list of all the top guys, a lot of that's the same scenario. Like even in my, the 220 class, Paul Lynn, he's not going to compete in a tournament around here where you might get a crack at him. But I feel like maybe they need to separate those guys and put them in another, because I know the East versus West has a ranking system too, but just take them off that and just say, hey, they're, this is East versus West rankings. They're on here because that's where they're pulling. Because I think there's a rule, if you don't pull, in a tournament in North America, you're taken off the rankings. Because I feel like that was happening to me one year because I was traveling, or I wasn't competing for the year or something. So,
right.
So it's almost like they're inactive. But like you said, I don't think anyone's ever happy with any rankings, to be honest with you. But
no.
But the thing is for me now, I don't really care about rankings. I mean, I do in my state, of course. It's good to be competitive there because you're always going to pull in your state a lot, because there's a lot of good tournaments in Florida here. But yeah, I'd rather just pull whoever. That's why I took this match with Drew coming up March 20th for Bo's event, and
yes.
kind of segue into that event because you're pulling an up and coming stud. And I just had Wallace Dilly on the show a couple weeks ago. He was talking. That's his main training partner,
Yeah.
Easton. So I mean, he's a big kid. So it's a good match for him to pull someone like of your caliber. So I'm kind of excited. I'm excited to be a part of that. I know you are too. Bo is such a great guy, man. I didn't want to miss out on this, so I would have pulled it. I would have pulled anybody, really, to be honest with you.
This is my second time going to Fallen Heroes because my first time I went 4 years ago, 2021, and just to go back to the rankings, I was ranked as high as 11th and in the hook rankings in 2021 because I was going everywhere at the time. So that same year, I went to Fallen Heroes and I pulled Roger Learn, and I ended up beating him through best of 5. I ended up beating him 3-2. And that was a fun event. And, Bo was there, obviously, and stuff. The legends were there. Cody Merritt was there. Of course, Don Underwood, Ryan Clark, Don Fritchie, Adam Rosinski was there. And the list goes on and on. So I'm excited to go there again. But Easton McCormick, I'm like, good Lord, that guy. And let me tell you something. I uttered the words to some of my colleagues that that guy reminds me of the American version of Auden Larrett. And I think at some point, these guys are going to they're going to collide because both are super duper young. Like, I don't think they can legally, I think they're so young that they can't even legally drink anything yet.
No.
Like, they're that young. And by the time Fallen Heroes 10 rolls around March 21st in Kansas City, I'll be 50 years old. So,
nice.
You got the guy who's probably about to turn 20 against a guy who will be 50 by then. So, and the thing is, though, is that I don't know about you, but I've gotten a lot of, messages, text messages, Facebook messages, whatever. And so I had posted the flyer that Ryan Johnson put out there. When I posted the flyer of me and Ethan, it was like, dude, you pulling him? Oh, you better be careful. He's so strong. And you hear all this, you hear all that. And I've heard stuff like, hey, love you, Thunder, but I think you might be going down. You bit off more than you can chew. Rest in peace, Thunder, and this, that, and the other stuff. And, I'm thinking, okay. And I don't mind being the underdog. Trust me, I don't mind being the underdog because there's no pressure on me because after hearing all that kind of stuff, I don't even feel any kind of pressure. Then I shouldn't be winning it anyway. But, I do like when people say that kind of stuff because, as you know, you're an athlete. When people tell you you can't do anything, it's like, oh yeah? Either watch me or hold my beer. You'll find out, So it's going to be fun. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to get ran through like that. I got a game plan. I just got to put it in play. But I have another tournament before that. So I don't want to overlook that one until I get to Easton. So.
Yeah, it's a good match, man. I don't know much about him. I know he's like big and stuff. He's been growing and he's pulling with Wallace every week. So, but he's young and, it's hard to, adapt a lot of knowledge on the table and have all those experiences stuff. Sometimes you get in deep waters and you're not used to being underneath the lights. Sometimes that can affect you too. So it's going to be an interesting match. I don't know how you would ever be the underdog having the experience you have, but I feel like people look at guys like him and they're like, oh, he's a big kid. And, but I've seen a lot of those big kids come in and get whooped. You know what I mean? It's not always, but he seems to have like a lot of motivation and I'm probably going to get him on the show and do an interview with him just to kind of pick his brain to see, where he's at and how he got into the sport. But I noticed he really put on a lot of muscle in the last year. Like he looks like a cartoon character now.
Did you see that picture I sent you when he was doing the double body?
Yeah.
And I was like, I saw that and I was like, damn, what the fuck did I get into? And here's the funny part, because earlier this calendar year, it was his dad that reached out to me.
Okay.
So his dad, I don't know if he's a manager or whatnot, but, kind of looks out for him, which is good because he's young in the sport. But his dad reached out to me and was like, hey, how would you like to pull my son, Easton and stuff? I'm like, to me, that was weird because it kind of came out of nowhere. And then he told me, he respects you and stuff and that kind of thing. I'm thinking, okay. And so I've gone through this road before. And I'm not saying they're like that, but I've gone through the road where people talk you up and then they want to say, okay, now I want to crush this guy so I can put him on my highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of like, oh, okay, so I'm going to be somebody else's highlight reel. And some people don't want to do that. And you know what? This is where guys like yourself, me, we don't shy away from competition. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, let's go. I mean, I'm not concerned about losing. I think this sport can really, excuse my language, mind fuck people. You know. Right. Because the fact that, you know, it's like, yeah, it is a one-on-one thing, and it's not a team sport where, hey, I busted my butt and did what I had to do, but I had somebody fuck up in the secondary and give up that touchdown, or I had somebody not playing defense and then they got a backdoor pick and, you know, got the winning basket. Like, this is all you. So they don't want to lose. I get that. And God forbid, if it's practice, people get the cameras out, people start shining away, or they don't want to do that. People get strange like that. And it's like, look, people, weird. You're going to take a loss. You're going to, hey, I've taken some ass whippings over the years, but I'll also give some out too. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't bother me if I lose. I just got to keep it. Now, I don't pump myself up like we've seen people in the past. I know you know some people in years past where they pump themselves so much that when they get deflated, then they kind of go away. You don't hear nothing from them for 3 or 4 months. Yeah. You know, that's unfortunate because it's like we're all competitors.
Yeah, I've been in that boat, man. When I first came in the sport, I was all hungry. I was like, I'm so strong. I'm the strongest I've ever been. And, you know, I'm like, and it gives your false sense of security. You know, you went to practice one day and you're smashing everybody or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're like, blah, 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 blah. And then you get crushed. And then you go home and you're like, oh, man, you know, it's really. So I've learned through my years of experience now to kind of just train. And, you know, I post my workouts or whatever here and there. But, you know, I'm not talking about I'm the strongest I've ever been, like, because now when I see people do that, like, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna be the number one, blah 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 in the nation or whatever. I just feel like those people, they're not really proving themselves. They're just talking, because most of the people that are that at that caliber, they're not telling you that. You don't hear Dave Shafee or Andre or anybody out there going, I'm going to be the number one. You know what I mean? They just do it. Right. You know, that's the difference.
I like those guys. They just come in here, clock in, whoop the mask, clock out, go home. I like that. But it kind of goes, for me, this sport's it's like life lessons, right? So I'll give you one of my life lessons. They say that, you know, some people who are struggling with whatever, they have to hit rock bottom first before they can, you know, rebuild themselves. In this sport, I've already hit rock bottom. Knock on wood. That came in 2015, and where's the U.S. Open out in the Oregon coast, Bill Collins put on, and I had a super match with a good friend of mine, Tim Tallmadge, and that was for $1,000. Okay, I lost 3-0. Think about that. I put up $1,000, he put up $1,000, and I got annihilated. I got embarrassed in front of my wife, my kids, my niece and nephew, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, and all the rest of my wife's family who lived on the coast. And that happened in front of them. Then the tournament happened. I went 2-0 both hands. So I didn't get not one single pin that entire time. And up until that point, you know, my wife's side of the family who lived on the coast, they were excited to see me because they've seen videos, they've heard stories about me doing good and stuff. And they were like, you know, oh, we finally get to see you in person and stuff. And that might have been a psych out where I put too much pressure on myself because I want to make sure I did good in front of them. But I'm telling you, man, when you lose $1,000 in a super match, because you it wasn't like I lost 3-2, I lost 3-0, 0, right? And then you go 2-0, both hands, left and right. Horrible weekend. I remember we left there, went to the beach, you know, built a campfire, and I sat there, was moping. And my wife's like, said, babe, you got to shake it off. Like, it's over now. You know, I'm sorry you didn't win. Let's have fun. Let's make the rest of the weekend work. I'm like, you know what? You're right. And she's been a rock because she, honestly, Craig, my wife gave me the best advice ever in arm wrestling. And she said, babe, you can't go to every tournament. And I said that. I was like, you know what? You're right. And the reason why that happened because have you ever planned a tournament where, okay, I want to go to this event in like 5 months, right? But in between now and that 5 months, you're training for it. Then another event pops up. Somebody, hey, Craig, hey, man, I'd love to have you come over here. And, you know, and you're like, dude, I'm training for this event. Well, I'll make it worth your while. I'll pay for your flight. I'll pay for your hotel. You're like going, ooh, you know, that kind of thing. And, ooh, it sounds intriguing, you know. And You know, you want to go to this event, you want to go to that event, but you got to remember, you promised your significant other, you told the missus, like, hey, I'm training for this event here, but this event came up, and she's like, what the fuck, you know, that kind of thing. So she gave me some good advice, like, babe, you can't go to every tournament. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know, I can't go. And, you know, with all, especially now, with all the new leagues, you know, happening, you know, with the MAC, they got that new tough league where you have to get the draft pullers. And we could touch about that too if you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you got the elite tournaments like the East First West, you know, those guys are elite. Not everybody's elite. So I'm glad all these other organizations are opening up because there's too much talent here in the States and North America for people not to showcase their talents on a big stage. And so I'm glad when people like Ian Carnegie is out there doing stuff. I'm glad. It's bummed out that Knuckles Up kind of folded, but you know, you still got Arm Wars. But you know, Neil kind of leans to the more of the elite side, even though he gave me an opportunity, and I'm very grateful for that. Marcus Thompson and Paul Maiden, Arm Gods, they gave me an opportunity. Awesome that, you know, I was very blessed to be on those promotions. I've been to the Monster Factory. I was able to go there. That was awesome. So I've been very blessed as far as being on big stages before. So I'm glad, you know.
Since we're sharing arm wrestling depression stories, I had the exact same thing happen to me, just exact what you're just saying in my hometown, Daytona. Jordan Sill came down, and I thought, you know, I think it was like, oh man, I want to say 2000 and maybe 17, 18 or whatever. I thought I was hot shit, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna smash Jordan. You know, brought him down $1,000. He was like, oh, I'll get a free trip to Florida, like in his mind. But
right,
and the same thing. I had my family. I don't know if my wife wasn't there. Maybe she was. I can't. No, I don't think. I think she stopped coming to tournaments. But everybody from work. I mean, I'm in my hometown. I mean, everybody's there, and yeah, I lost 3-0. I got smashed in my power, like in the hook and shit. He just pulled me over, and yeah, I really learned a lot from that. It was $1,000 lesson, and like you were saying, I kind of like, you know, I didn't even pull the tournament. I left. I was kind of depressed. I took that loss a little bit. For a couple days, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how bad I suck. I thought it was the man, and then, but you know, that's arm wrestling, dude. You think 1 minute, like I just did a tournament last week, and I did really good. I was like thinking I was, you know, and then I just think now I'm like, oh, you know what, that's over, and now it's time to train for the next one. Like, it's no more like, oh, I'm feel so strong now, because you know how it is. It's like a roller coaster. 1 minute you're like, oh yeah, I'm on top of the world, and the next minute you're like, why am I even arm wrestling? It's like you don't even know what's going on. So, but I do like that mental challenge. I don't know about you, but I really like that mental challenge as I get older to push myself. And I talk about losing now, dude. Like, my son has been doing jiu-jitsu competitions for the last couple of years, dude. And this kid, like, when he loses, he doesn't have any different expression than if he won. You know what I mean? So he really taught me a lot. And I'm arm wrestling, and he's out there defending chokes. You know what I mean? There's a lot more consequences. So he's really taught me a lot. And I've been bringing him to tournaments. And it's really interesting. You know, he's 12 years old, but it's really interesting how we can learn from our kids, you know. So
I think, too, you got to, Greg, you got to realize, too, as we get older, when you take a step back and look things, you know, as a whole, when the smoke clears and let's just say I didn't have a good tournament or I didn't win or whatever, let's reflect for a second. My kids still love me. My wife didn't leave me, and I still got the house. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
When you look at it that way, because when you first get into the sport, you know, you want to win, and I get that. But you know, let's do the math. If you go in there and you got 12 guys in your class, only one of them is going to win. 3 of them are going to go top, you know, 3. So it's kind of like, okay, I got to win. But I used to always put pressure on myself because I want to do that. And now it's like, you know what? I don't put as much pressure anymore, because then, to me, when you put so much on yourself for that, then it doesn't work out. Like for you lost $1,000, I lost $1,000. That doesn't become fun anymore. And, you know, I want to be able to have this. So yes, I go out there and have fun, let the pieces fall where they may. Sure, there's big tournaments you want to, you know, do good at, but sometimes, it may not work out in your favor. That's what happens,
Yeah, I don't let it define me anymore. I don't let arm wrestling define who I am as a man. So I just go to the tournament, test myself, and I'm like, oh, did well, did not, whatever. And then I shake it off right away. So, like I was in the overall and I was like, oh, I'm going to smash Artem, because I know what he feels like in practice. And I usually get the best of him. And that freaking guy, whacked me, and I was like, oh, good for you, blah, 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 because I really want to win that gladiator helmet for my kid. But it didn't happen. But I drove home and I was fine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But before, like a couple years ago, I'd be like, oh, man, I feel like shit. I suck, and then I think I'd have to get stronger and stuff. And yeah, it's just I think that's a maturity thing too, probably. But as you get older, I don't know about you, but I want to win, of course. But I'm kind of a realist. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to be on East versus West, and be competing for a title. So I accept who I am, and then doing the podcast like you were saying earlier, it keeps you involved in the sport and. Keeps you on top of things, and you're actually promoting and helping others. I noticed you're always helping, especially the ladies get their names out there and push the sport, which is really great. So have you do you ever get tired of like interviewing people and doing the show, or is it something you're just passionate about?
It's a passion of mine. And before I did all the arm wrestling thing, I was in the semi-pro football. I did that, for like 7 years and stuff, but after a while, your body can't take those collisions. And, as you get older, I got into the sport when I was 34 and arm wrestling when I was 34. And I realized that, I don't have to take those hits because it's a different kind of pain where your body hurts all over, like knees, legs, feet, shoulders, chest, back. It's football. Whereas arm wrestling, yeah, you hurt. It's a different kind of hurt though, so it's more of your hips, arms, hand, that kind of stuff. But it's just something. Once I got hooked on it, it's. They always say it's like a drug, right? And this is a drug I don't mind, get myself involved in. That kind of drug, not the other stuff, but that kind of drug. But no, I just when you do that kind of stuff and you make lifelong friends, and I take a step back because this sport has evolved, some for the good, some for the bad, and I'm at a point now where like I want to go back to what it used to be when I first got into it. And I know it's kind of hard now. When I got into it, Gary Roberts was on top of the world and stuff. And if you knew he was going to be at your tournament, that's when you had to bring your A game because on Arm TV, you'll see footage up there. But now it's evolved to where everybody got a channel. Everybody has stuff on Facebook and social media and YouTube. So there's that. But then it was also about, depending on who came to an event, it was about who was coming, and you want to go, hey, this is my shot to see what an elite puller feels like, instead of now people shy away from it. And that boggles my mind. I don't understand why people do that. Like there are people who don't go unless they know they're going to take top 3. Blows my fucking mind. I'm like, are you kidding me? But yet, or you got the people who sit there and pump themselves up and, they want to go to, freaking Uncle Joe's, invitational to be a champion, or they want to take top 3. It's like going, no, challenge yourself, man. You gotta challenge yourself. Who cares if you want to be the Radio Shack undisputed champion? No one fucking cares about that. It's about, if I knew when I first got into the sport, the arm benders were coming because you knew Tom Nelson was going to be there, Kenny Hughes. I'm like, I'm gonna sink my teeth into that. Now people kind of shy away from that, from the bigger names because they don't want to get beat. They want to make sure they cherry pick. I want to make sure I take top 3. So nobody's going to be here. Okay, I'll go. That's fucking weird. I don't get that, Today, even to today, I still get, there's a few people out there, it's the youngsters, and they're young, so you got to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. But, they sit there and get on me because, it's like, why you pulling masters? I'm like, because I'm almost 50. That's why. Like I pull masters. I pull masters now. By the time February hits, I'm going to be 50, which means I'm Grandmasters eligible now. What more do you want from me? But I'll still pull the open class to the local tournament. Now, I know once we get to the bigger stages, then it's like, all right. So, for example, my goal next year, because come December of this year, you said you'll be 55, right?
Yep.
Okay. So come December of this year, I will start my 16th year in the sport. Okay.
Nice.
And once you've been in the sport that long, 16 years, you got to go, okay, what do you have to show for it? I don't have any national titles, although I finished third in 2017 in Masters. I don't have any world titles, but I took second at the IFA Worlds in 2021 in Orlando, Florida. But I want to right that wrong, because that was coming off of the pandemic, and not a lot of countries were able to fly over to the States because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I took second, but that felt more like a national because 85-90% of the people were from the US. So for me, it didn't feel like an actual world, but nonetheless, I took second in the Masters. So I do want to go back and right that wrong. So, I mean, I need to look back, Craig, and go, okay, when this is all said and done, I want to be able to say, oh, I'm a national champion or I'm a world champion. That way I can sit there, because there's times, and I'll be honest with you, there's times I feel like I can't conversate with certain people because I don't have the accolades that they have, which is strange. You know, I've been around a lot. I've done a lot of big tournaments and that kind of stuff and did good, but because I don't have that national title or I don't have that world title, I feel like I'm not worthy enough to be conversating with certain people because I don't have those accolades. And I know that's sad to think, but that's just how I feel sometimes. I feel like that's that opening piece I need to plug in, or there's that missing puzzle I need to at least plug in. That way I can say, okay, at least I have that now. I mean, that's how I feel, you know?
You feel like that, but you still talk to people, and you don't like not talk to Michael Todd or John Brzenk or if you see those guys. So it's like, I know what you're saying though. I feel like sometimes, yeah, you're not in that room where, you know, everybody has a degree of whatever. So I want to go back though. Let's go back to Jody. Sure. When you were first in the sport. Like, what got you involved in the arm wrestling? Like, let's go back. What year was it, and who got you going to your first practice?
December 2010 is when I first got into it. I was working at a solar plant, and a coworker of mine, his father-in-law was in California, you know, arm wrestling into it down there and stuff, and knew Alan Fisher and all that kind of stuff. And he told me, he goes, "Hey, you guys ever arm wrestle?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you know, your typical. Yeah, we had a few beers on the table, whatever." No one knew what the fuck they were doing. They were just kind of like, "I just gotta go this way, whatever." And he said, "Hey, check it out. There's this tournament we got coming up at the Harley Davidson dealership." I'm like, "Tournament?" He goes, "Yeah, it's nothing big, but it's for Toys for Tots. So you bring in like a toy for the kid, or you bring in some canned food for the, you know, homeless and that kind of thing. In the back of the showroom, they'll have a tournament." And, all right, cool. You know, well, he's the one that got me turned on to Alan Fisher first. So the first arm wrestle I laid eyes on was Alan Fisher. He sent me a clip of I think it was 2006 or 7 when he had hair, and he was at the Arnold Classic. He was mowing over people, and because his dad was good friends with his father-in-law was good friends with Alan Fisher. Of course, he was all about that. So you should watch this clip. And so I saw it, and it's about maybe a minute 37. That's all the clip was, maybe 2 minutes. And I watched that thing over and over and over. I'm thinking, this is a real thing. It's like people in the stands in the crowd, and you got referees in striped shirts. So I'm thinking, all right, here's the funny part, Craig. So I'm thinking, yeah, we'll do this. And so he got the rest of our coworkers to do it too. But guess what? Nobody had a table. So we go to this dude's house, right? And I shit you not, a dresser with the drawer for clothes, a dresser. We use that
for your first practice. This is your first practice.
So it's like, I'm like, this ain't no table. It's like, no, I don't have a table, but we can use this for now. So think about this. So there's no peg, right? So, you know, we lock up right hand, and then we use our off hand to hold the dresser steady. You know, so I'm holding it with this hand, my other buddy's holding it with the other hand. And then we're going at it. I'm thinking, oh, okay, he was stronger than me, and we're kind of going back and forth. And I'm thinking, I might be able to do this. But once he told us that, it was 2 classes. It was 198 and under and 199 and over. I'm thinking, that's it? I'm like, damn, you know, I'm thinking that means there may be somebody who's 220, 250, 270. That'll be no. I sat there, and I walked around probably about 210 at the time. So it was about a month and a half to get ready. And so I was just, I stopped drinking. All I ate was salad, fruit salad. That was, I mean, the only protein I had was like I chopped up some chicken to go in the salad. That was it. And I had some fruit. Now that's all I had. And I finally made the weight like 197 or something like that. So I was game, but then to come to find out it was only me and my other coworker that was in the class. And all the rest were like in the upper class. So I'm thinking, all right. So it was a double elimination. So I had to beat him twice. Cool. Our kids were young at the time. They came down. My wife, my mother-in-law, father-in-law came down. It was cool. I won, and check it out, Craig. My first ever award was a fucking ribbon. Dude, so
you still have it? You still got that ribbon?
Yeah, I do actually. So
nice.
Of all the medals, trophies, plaques, and now we've gone to like statues and hammers and swords and that kind of stuff. My first ever award was a ribbon. I'm thinking, okay. And it was cool because the newspaper came down and there was an article. So I'm thinking, all right. Well, this guy, Darren Wartina, you know, rest in peace. He was like probably $176, right? And he was, you know, pro arm wrestler. So he threw out a challenge. He goes, I tell you what, anybody who could pin me, they get $100. I'm like, what's the catch? He goes, all you gotta do is put in 10. He says, think about it. You just pay me $10. You pin me, you get the 100. I'm thinking, all right, I'll go with those odds. You know, nobody pinned him. Of course, you know, I'm thinking, all right, is this some kind of trick? Do you have one of those bracelets on where it keeps your balance, whatever? I mean, I'm trying to figure out, like, is this for real? So,
I know it's like magic.
He goes, hey man, of all the guys, you know, I know you didn't pin me, but you really got some power there. I think you got potential. But if you're ever interested, let me know. Here's my contact. So I'm thinking, all right, cool. Now I waited till Christmas was done. I waited till New Year's was done. And then I gave the guy a call. In between all that, though, I'm looking up stuff on YouTube. And I'm like going, man. And that just opened my eyes. I'm like, wow. So then I came across people. Like, I didn't come across John Brzezinski till like months later. It was Alan Fisher. The next guy came in, I saw on video was Cobra Rhodes. And I said, I like that style. I'm going to model myself after that. So he was the one guy that really got me to model myself, you know, the quick, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is nice. I like that. Because I knew I wasn't going to be the strongest guy there, but I know I got fast twitch muscles that can work my advantage, you know, and I've used them ever since. But I gave the guy a call. He goes, yeah, come on over. Went to his house, and, you know, the guy lived in a downstairs basement where his bed was up top, where he had to actually climb the rope every night to get to his bed.
Damn.
Like, wow, I mean, this guy, you know, and his back was strong, and he taught me some stuff. And ever since then, it's been like, you know, off to the races. And like I said, my first ever tournament was March 2011, sanctioned tournament, like a real sanctioned one.
Mm-hmm. With a table.
Talk about like deer in the headlights. That play, I mean, it was in the Shiloh Inn Ballroom in Klamath Falls, Oregon, the 2011 Oregon State Championships. And I swear to God, I walked in there and that place smelled like Icy Hot and Tiger Bomb. And and I'm like, okay, so arm wrestling smells like that. So to this day, if I smell Tiger Bomb, it takes me back, right? So I'm thinking, all right, cool. And I'm looking around going, people got their team shirts. So I'm thinking, damn, I wish we had a team shirt, you know. And this is the early stages of Twisted Wrist, early stage. We didn't have any, but when we saw that, we started to make t-shirts, you know. But went there. First ever match was a win, which is good. Second match was my own fucking teammate. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, really? All right, fine. I ended up losing to him, but then I won like the other two. So I ended up taking third in the novice class. So I'm thinking, all right, I relish that plaque forever. Because that was my first ever like real, I mean, this was like a heart. This ain't a ribbon. This is like a fucking plaque. I brought that thing home. I put that on next to my nightstand. I stayed there for months. But then it was like, you know, the progression nowadays where, you know, the question is, when should I go from amateur or novice to like open class? And so for me, I did a few more tournaments and I'm thinking, all right, I'm either taking first or second. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm loving it. I got, you know, good trajectory, but now I want to challenge myself. So I remember that same year in July, I went to a Gators Bar and Grill up in Portland, Oregon. And that was the day where that was my last time doing amateur and my first time doing open. So I took 3 first place. I took first, left and right in amateur and first place right hand. And after that, never looked back to amateur because I want to challenge myself, you know?
Yep.
And then good story. The following year, I'm thinking, all right. And our guy, Darren Wartina, was like, hey, I want to go to nationals. But where's it at? It's in Reno. Well, that's a 6-hour drive from where I live in Central Oregon. So I'm thinking, all right. And that's a good story because I'm trying to make weight. And I was at 198 puller, by the way, just so we're clear, 198. So imagine that. I'm like a fucking bobblehead, just skinny and shit. And my buddy Nano Cruz kind of coached me in like going down another weight class to 187. So think about that. 187-pound me. I'm like, God, my God. So we're doing everything. We're chewing gum, spitting and stuff. We put the scale on the back of the trunk. So this is the three of us, me, Nano, and Darren. And we're driving. We always pull off, weigh ourselves. Damn it, here's a rest area. Let's use the bathroom. So we're doing everything leading up to that. No water, just trying to make weight. We finally get to Harris Casino. We registered, and the sun was out. Okay, the sun was out. It was a springtime. I'm thinking, all right, it was May. Matter of fact, it was May. The sun was out, and all of a sudden, I'm in line, and I thought the sun went behind a cloud because you know how like things get dark all of a sudden. It gets a little cooler. Mm-hmm. I thought the sun went behind the clouds, so you kind of look around. I look, it's fucking Richard Lupke's, right? That dude blocked the sun. He's so wide and stuff. Dude, and I and you hear people, right, about how big people are, how strong they are. But when you see them in person, it brings a whole new. I'm like, oh my God. So I kind of froze like this, thinking, Mr. Lupke, he goes, "How you doing, young man? Nicest guy you ever want to meet."
He is the nicest.
Craig, guy. I shook that dude's hand. In my hand, I got a decent hand.
Disappeared.
It just disappeared. I'm like going, and here's the funny part, because if you ever hear him talk, he was on Neil Pickup's show. How I felt about Richard is how he felt about when he shook Cleve Dean's hand. Just to give you an idea, Jesus Christ. So, crazy. I'm thinking, wow. So I'm thinking, all right, I need to shake myself. I need to go weigh in and stuff. And when it comes to nationals, they're like, you got to be spot on or else you're going to go to the next weight class up. So I'm thinking, all right, cool. I get on there. I'm like 3 pounds over. So I'm thinking, fuck, I still got another hour and a half or whatever. So steam room and sauna. There ain't nothing better than having guys in the sauna from all over the country in there talking shop and stuff. And I never did that before. So I didn't know how to exactly do that because people go in and they keep leaving. I'm thinking, you guys are a bunch of bitches. Why y'all keep leaving? No, you got to come out. And I'm like, I ain't got to do shit. I'm kicking it because it felt good. Mm-hmm. Craig, I was in there for, I don't know how long, but I was in there for a long time. So when I walked out and that air hit me, I fucking fainted. Like, dude, it just took me out. I'm like, oh my God, So I'm thinking, you all right? I'm like, yeah. So a couple guys helped me up. I'm thinking, fuck, I towel off, And my buddy Nano was like, nah, we got to do a little bit more just to make sure. So we go in the steam room. Now you go in the steam room, it's like, dude, sometimes you can't breathe in there. Yeah. It's so intense. And you know how it is. You've been there. It's like, dude, it's horrible. Sometimes you don't want to, you can't move. It's so intense. And then when I got out of there, I'm sitting there like, man, I almost crawled out. I'm like, all right, let's go ahead and do this. So I get dressed, we go back down to the registration table and I'm going to hop on the scale again. And it's like, I'm 2 ounces over. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. At that point, we probably had another 15, 20 minutes left before registration's done. I'm like, what? Now I'm stressing because when you stress, you can actually put on weight when you stress.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, what I'm going to do. So I can't remember who it was. Karen Bean was there, but I think some other guy said, hey, here's your option. You can either go in there for another 5 minutes because you only got 2 ounces, no big deal. See if you can use the bathroom, whatever. Or you can stay here, take off your wedding ring, drop trowel, and see what happens. I'm like, well, I'll probably never see you motherfuckers again anyway. So guess what? I'm gonna fucking do it. So I fucking dropped trowel. My teammates fucking made a wall because there are still people registering. They made a wall so people couldn't see me. So here's a black guy butt naked, dropping trowel, hopping on a scale. You're going to imagine. I mean, the embarrassment. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I need to make it. And Craig, that scale said 187 on the dot.
Damn.
I'm like, you better see it now because if I fucking blink, that bitch might go back up. So you see it. All right, cool. Get off the fuck off. So I got off. I fucking made it. We're good. I'm in the 187-pound class. Now, with all that being said, I'm starving. I'm like, all right. So we go to the food court. And this was back when Quiznos was around, right? So I go up there. I get a foot-long roast beef sandwich, right? And the biggest Dr. Pepper you can ever have. And because, I didn't cut weight the right way, I didn't eat really. I just nibbled here and there, leading up to that. And I felt fast as shit back. I lost some power. So that was mistake number one. Never been to nationals, was never a wrestler in high school. So I didn't know how to properly do that. So long story short, I took 3 bites of that sandwich. I was like, dude, I'm full. I can't finish this. So long story short, my eyes were bigger, my
Yeah, of
appetite. So,
course.
but
Yeah.
nonetheless, we go there. Next day, we're like rubbing elbows and talking to people, and it's game time. I'm thinking, all right. And it was a treat because that was put on by the UAL that year. And after the tournament, it was a special double super match because you had Bill Logsdon pulling Todd Hutchings, and then you had in the main event you had
Oh yeah, I remember that match. I remember
and
that
then you
match.
had Chris Chandler pulling John Brzenk. So that was the first
Oh
time I got to
yeah.
see them in person and stuff. And
Yeah, that's
never talked to
crazy.
John. To me, he felt like here's my vibe. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but it felt like because everybody was talking to him, he got kind of annoyed to a certain degree. And I'm sure when you're the best and people are constantly coming up to you, you just want a break for a second. So that's the vibe I got. I could be totally wrong. Where I went to Todd Zilla, he was just talking to me. So that was pretty cool. But the tournament, left and right, I think I took like 9th, maybe 10th, give or take, something like that. But it was good. I felt fast, but oh yeah, one quick moment. So the guy that trained me was a top roller. So that's all I knew going into that, which they say top roll is probably the hardest thing you can learn. But nonetheless, we got trained to top roll because he told us that top roll beats a hook any day of the week. Easy. Good. I got you. And I ran into Randy Reaver out of California, who's part of the California Armbenders. And he took a lower grip on me. I never felt that before. And I went to pro day. I just went and went like that. He slammed me down, thinking, "What the fuck?" I'm like, so I go back to my trainer, going, "Dude, you lied to me." He goes, "What?" I'm like, "You told me a top roll beats a hook, and that guy hooked me in there and took me down." And he goes, "Well, maybe he was stronger than you." I'm thinking, "Well, what the fuck?" So that's when I started saying, "You know what? I want to be more than just a one-trick pony." So that's when I started doing my own research, and that's when I really started watching a lot of video, watching a lot of styles. And as any other arm wrestler, you want to mimic somebody first to see how it works, and then eventually you kind of create your own little style. You take bits and pieces of this and that and make it your own. So I started doing that, and it got to a point where I just started doing more than top rolling. So
did you fall in love at that point with the sport, like doing that, going through all that weight cut and just?
Oh yeah, because then it got to a point where when I started taking strength training more seriously, then I wasn't 198 no more. I started going up in weight. So it was like, okay, fine. And it got to a point, okay, now I'm around 210. So now I'm thinking, okay, well, depending on where tournament you go to, there's going to be a 220 class, or sometimes those tournaments are 199 to 242. There's a big, gap. So I was cool with that, but it was just like, I took some licks, in the process, but it was good to go travel with the guys, road trip to California and Nevada and Idaho and things like that. And then as I got more into the sport, then I started widening my horizons. Obviously I pulled in Washington, but then it went like, okay, like now I've been to so many states and countries. I've competed in outside of U.S. 4 times. So I've been to Canada twice. I've been to United Kingdom, and I've been to Mexico. So for me now, looking back now, all the stuff you do training wise, does it work when you're outside of your comfort zone? Meaning that I got to come out of my zip code. I got to come out of my region, the Pacific Northwest, and find out if all this stuff I'm doing, is it really working? Because the people in your area, it's good and bad. Good thing is that it creates rivalries. Bad thing is that it's the same shit all over again. I need to test myself. So when I'm going to Fallen Heroes March 21st with you and the rest of the guys, you and I are going to be like the biggest underdogs because we all know the Midwest, is real tight. So, there's that. I've been to Ohio. I've been to Florida. I've been to Texas, and, I've been to Arizona, Philadelphia, all over the place, Utah, Colorado. So, man, for me to go to those places and stuff and then challenge myself, to me, it says, you know what? This stuff is working. Now, it seems like, I don't know about you, Craig, but it seems like certain parts of the United States tend to pull a certain way. That's the experience I got. Yours may differ. So I'll give you an example, and then you tell me what you experienced. I felt like people down south pull more in the hook, whereas people out west pull more in the top rope. That's my experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you agree, or how
Yeah,
that?
I agree. It seems like that. It seems like the West is more top rolly-ish. So when did you feel like when was the moment where you felt like, hey man, I can be competitive? Like, did you win a match? Were you in a tournament where there was a lot of people there that you kind of like established a name for yourself?
Honestly, Craig, I pulled so many fucking times I kind of forgot, but it seems like as I got older, then it was like, okay, I can compete now, where
were you getting invited to things back then too? Like, did you get invited to a couple tournaments?
When I really when I really started the stage was 2021.
Okay.
Now think about this. I started in 2010, and 2021 is when I really started getting out there. So I was well into my 40s by then. So, when I would go, you remember the ROTN that Gary Roberts put on in Texas,
yes.
weirdo camera guy. So
yes,
and I was
YouTube. Was there YouTube? Was it YouTube and a weirdo camera guy?
Yeah. So if you go on Arm TV and put in weirdo camera guy, and actually it was a cool setup because it was built up for all the camera guys, Artem and Billy Ortegas and myself, and there's a few other guys that couldn't make it. So Travis just called a few guys, just threw them in there. And John Dable was there, the guy that got choked out by Ron Bass. So he was in there. And
God, that guy.
Even God, who was the guy that claimed he was a world champion? He really wasn't.
Oh yes, I know who you're talking about.
He did the boxing thing and shit. Yes.
yeah.
God,
oh yeah.
Damn it, I'm drawing a blank now, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
There's a lot of those guys. Yeah, but I know who you're talking about.
There. Yeah, so we're all there in Waxahachie, Texas. And so, and I got invited because Paul Italia was, saw the progress I was doing, and invited me to that. And, Travis got a hold of me. Hey, I'd like you to be a part of this. And it was cool because if you go around and my man, Nano Cruz would arm Puller Magazine, which is now Puller TV. And Gary Roberts was filming random people. Who do you think is going to win? And either people said myself or they said Artem, right? So it's kind of like,
that's cool.
It was going to come down to me and Artem. Damn everybody else, but still we got it. It's like a round robin. But the format was you had to get like 13 wins, no matter what. So there was that. You remember that Jason Gully, that never been beaten?
Yes, I have the jersey. Yep.
Yeah, so I got the hoodie and stuff. Well,
the hoodie. That's what I have.
Yeah, they made 2 belts, so they got one for the left, one for the right. So I'm thinking, ooh, I want a belt. That's one. I'm a sucker. I used to be a WWE fan, so. If I can attain that, that'd be fucking awesome, But I'm thinking, all right, cool. Well, it goes to say we get there, it goes from heaviest to lightest. Barry Bourne, that's his name, Barry Bourne.
Oh, Barry Bourne, yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So I was like, all right. So now all of a sudden I'm thinking, all right, cool, and everyone's there. Travis is there, obviously. Michael Todd's there, Corey West is there. I mean, who's who? Luke Cam. I mean, everybody was there. I'm thinking, all right, cool. This is a good setup. We're in this bar and stuff in Texas, downtown. And, I'm thinking, all right. So we get up there and I win my first 7 matches. And I'm thinking, I'm cruising. All I got to do is win 6 more. We good. But this is where you got to be smart about it. And then my first loss came to Artem. I'm thinking, all right. Because I had beat him the first time he pulled. Went around again, came back to him. And Artem, being the smart guy that he is, kind of go, okay, I know what he does now. I'm going to block that. And he flashed me back. So now, all right, cool. Now I go to the back of the line. He's blasting everybody. And then I get up again, fucking Mr. Go, takes me down. Long story short, he wins. I was the only guy that pinned on him. He gets the right-hand title. So I'm thinking, all right. So I'm sitting there going, just fucking pissed off. And don't worry, man, you got 10 coming up. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I'm thinking, all right, cool. Left hand's coming up. Same thing. Only this time, my first match with Artem, he beats me. So now I'm in my own head, right? And then, he goes around, comes up to me again, lose to him again. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm thinking, shit. Third time comes around, we slip. I'm thinking, all right, cool. I changed things up. I actually pinned him. So I'm thinking, all right, now the momentum's starting to shift again. I'm thinking, oh shit, now it's about to get going. So I go again, go through Barry Bourne, lost to Billy Ortegas. He cracked my wrist. I try to go in there for a lot, but then he pulled me out. So now I'm on my shoulder. I can't get back in. So he finally got me. I was thinking, fuck it. So you can see Artem going, yes. Because all he needs is like a few more victories and he's done. Yeah. So Artem got the next 3 wins. He wins it. It's funny because there's a clip. There's a video out there of him holding both belts up. And I didn't know until someone posted it and tagged me in it. And they're like, Jody, you mad? I'm thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? So if you look at the clip, there's a picture of Artem holding both belts. And there's me in the background with a Coors Light just kind of glaring at him like this. And it's funny because I'm thinking, oh, I'll be damned, you know? So I thought that was kind of cool. But me going out there, that was cool. Another time later in the year, Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was the throwdown at the Fox Hound or something like that. And that was the time where it was that fatal 4-way between Chance Shaw, Don Underwood, Mike Aiello, and Jordan Seal. Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was it?
So same year, Tulsa, Oklahoma, hot as shit. And I go to open class. I pull 242, 232, whatever, open class. And I took second place. And I missed one spot away from winning one of those big ass swords. Don't know how I was going to get on the fucking plane with that, but whatever. Yeah. My best match was I pulled Greg Mayfield. Okay. And I remember we're up in there and stuff, and we're going back and forth. You know, he had me here, and I got a sticky spot here. And I'm working on having sticky there, but once you get me here, it just stalls right here. And then, you know, I'm surging. All of a sudden, I surge one more time like this and pinned him. And all of a sudden, you know, everybody jumps up for joy. I'm thinking, fuck, that was pretty badass, you know. Then, of course, you know, the guy was kind of going, yeah, I got you now. So I had like a 30-second rest and, you know, lost the next one. But still, that was cool. That kind of said, okay, that year was awesome because then I got up to as high as 11th in the rankings and in the hook. That was cool. But this is where that conversation comes from. And my wife's like, you know, you can't go to every tournament. And I got caught up in, you know, being in the rank because when you're ranked, instead of shying away, not pulling, I looked at it as like, I got to keep competing to either keep that rank or even get higher. Because for me to crack the top 10, meaning, damn, you know, like I'm doing something. Like, think about it. In your weight class in the country, you crack top 10, you're doing something. So I was one spot away from that. But at the same time, it's like, you know what, Craig, as you know and I know, when you balance life, you know, with kids or whatnot, and by that point, my kids are getting older, but still, you want to balance life and stuff, and you can't do everything. And my wife was absolutely right. You know, so of course, when you don't compete as much, then your name starts to drop, you know, and I get that. I end up, you know, being out of the rankings, but and I get it because I wasn't competing as much. But still, this to be out there, and the name was out there, and you know, I get calls, you know, and to this day, you know, I got this moniker, you know, show up and show out. So when you show up to a tournament, leave it all on the table, and that means if you got to go to across the border in Mexico and pull some of their guys and fucking win the open class, you know, or go to the freaking Arnold Classic qualifier in Canada earlier this year and win over there. And so for me, I'm thinking, you know what, if I can do that on an international basis and go to some other countries and do good and place top 3, if not win the whole thing, then, you know, I'm doing pretty good. Then I had a dilemma. You might have saw that. So I go to Canada and I qualify for the Arnold. And now the Arnold's like, you know, it's they have a master's class now. They also have a left-hand class. So I qualify for both open and masters. Now, I got a dilemma because this goes back to what my wife, that's what she said. You can't go to every tournament. Why is March so saturated with tournaments? Think about that. We all know the first weekend of March is the Arnold Classic. That same weekend, the North America Championships ran by Simon Barachoa will be in Ottawa, Canada. Same weekend. The following weekend, the other North America Championships put on by Sean Hancock is going to be held in Las Vegas. Okay, there's 3 events right there. Then, for some reason, the sit-down nationals in Virginia moved from April to March. Don't know why, but that's right. Later in the month, you got the Winter Blast, and that's probably the biggest tournament in the country. And I'm like, I got a decision to make. Then, of course, you got the Nationals, IFA Nationals the following month in April. So I'm sitting up here going, damn, you want to compete all of them, but you can't. But now you feel like, okay, you got people reaching out to you going, hey, man, Are you going to this? Are you going to that? And I'm like, you ever get to a point where you feel like you let somebody down when you say no?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt. So I was really stressed out. Like, I guess some people say, oh, it's a good problem to have. I'm like, yeah, but damn, man. I'm like, can you imagine though? Like, I fucking did what I had to do, which is qualify for this. And I want to go back to the Arnold because I went there in 2019. And that was the last time where that class was 199 and over. And I had 27 dudes in my class, by the way.
27, damn.
Think about that. Craig, 27 guys in my class. And my losses were to Robbie Burnett and Derek Smith. So it's like, damn, you know. So I want to go back there and do better. And I'm thinking, oh, they got a master's class, sign me up. Cool, I can do both, masters and open. But man, I want to go back there. But I know sometimes people are kind of going, well, after what happened between High Five and Knuckles Up, are they going to be able to have it this year? As far as I know, everything's a go. But I'm thinking, damn, when you have people reach out to you and says, hey, guess what? Ryan Johnson, hey, guess what? I know you can't make it to my event in December. We got one March 21st, the one you and I are going to. And, just think about it. We'd love to have you out there. I'll set you up with a match. Eastern McCormick. I'm like, all right, I'll think about it. So I'm thinking real hard. My wife's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. I got a decision to make. And then somebody reached out to me and says, hey, I saw your post. I saw you having trouble. What if I help you out with that? Well, which one are you talking about? Which one you want to go to? I'm like, well, I think I can always go back and, go to the Arnold again and qualify for that. But I would like to go back to Kansas City. He goes, if you want to go there, let me know. I can help you get out there. Cool. So that sponsor said, all right, cool. All right, we're good. 2 days later, another person goes, so did you make your decision yet? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to the Fallen Heroes. Well, where else do you want to go? I'm thinking, what do you mean by that? I was like, you mentioned that there's a lot of tournaments you want to go to. Where else are you going to go? I'm thinking, all right, now IFA Nationals will be in Dayton, Ohio. It's like April 22nd or 23rd, something like that. And we all know next year IFA Worlds will be in Tokyo, Japan. Now, I told myself, and you and I were talking about this earlier in the show, I need that national title. I need that world title. So if the plan is to do this, that's what I want to do. So they were like, let me call you back in a couple hours. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So I go on with my day and stuff, get a call back. I'm like, hey, what's going on? We can help you with that. They paid for my flight to go to Nationals. Like, nice. Wow. Like, damn. Like, seriously, I'm just like, oh, wow. I mean, to me, it's like going, this is strange for me because, some people say, I can be an ambassador for the sport, and I take pride in that because I like to, promote other people's tournaments. I like to get the ladies out on the platform. I like doing that. I've been involved in some controversy. I think we all know that, and I've been known to share my feelings about certain situations and certain topics, which I don't shy away from. But that was strange to me because I didn't know this was like, was this really happening to me? I'm thinking, wow. So everything is set. So I'll be March 21st, Kansas City, going to IFA Nationals. So I'm ready to roll, man. I'm ready to do this.
That's incredible, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. And you're getting recognized from helping out people too. And that's really great, man, to be able to, have someone give back to you and help you, get to nationals, and hopefully you'll get to go to China or Japan. Woo. Sorry, Japan.
Yeah, man. Japan. Like, man, I mean, because and I'm jonesing because right now I work graveyard, so I'm at work watching the IFA Worlds right now.
Okay.
Like, I'm at 3 a.m. I'm watching the Worlds, and they're in Azerbaijan right now, and I'm watching and stuff. I'm thinking, man, I can't wait till next year to grace that stage and make something happen. And like I said, there's always some kind of controversy because, like I said, I feel like the Worlds I went to in Florida in 2021, it was good for what it was, but I know deep down I want to go when there's a lot more countries involved. And there are. Mm-hmm. I want to go when there's a lot more countries, there. And I know there's a stigma where, people are saying, WAF is better, And are they deeper? Yes. From a talent pool standpoint, they're deeper. Are they elite? You can say that. But I'll say this, though. It's not like a bunch of IFA got a bunch of chumps there either. So, I'm going to go there, do what I got to do, and hopefully the pieces follow their man. I can represent Team USA and come home with the gold. But first things first, I got to go to nationals and compete there and try to get that national title.
So do you have to win nationals or just place in the top 3 there to get to go to Worlds?
Here's the issue with that. So as of right now, because we actually had a show and we had Denise Waddles, who's the secretary or treasurer of IFA. We had Honors, the president of IFA, and our other show, the Can-Am Connection. We kind of asked them, if you see that episode, it was part 2. That was it got kind of like because here's Anders from the IFA side. Then Neil Pickup chimed in, and Neil says, "Let me on the show." And Neil Pickup's on there from the WAF side. And I'm thinking, oh shit, But I said, and here, this is my honest opinion, without hurting feelings. I'm gonna go ahead and tell like it is. I told Anders, at what point does the IFA take the training wheels off? What I mean by that is that all you got to do is show up to nationals. You're on Team USA. And to me, this is just me talking. I don't think it's fair because it's just like it almost leans on the side of a participation trophy. You know what I mean? And, when I asked Honors that, he said, well, we want everybody to have the opportunity to go. Well, good. I get that. But guess what? Not everybody has the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl either. You got to earn your way, right? So it happens that way. Now, if you want to just go to going, then I can just go on vacation to Tokyo and not worry about the arm wrestling, if that's the case. But who asked me that? So I think it was Brian Parliament must have asked me. He goes, what if you take 5th at nationals? Would you still go? I said no. The competitor in me, if I can't take first or top 3 in my own national, then how the hell am I going to do at Worlds? That's my honest opinion. If I don't take top 3 at least, I'm not going. That's the competitor in me, And I think that, to make it more established, you got to put a limitation on that, That's just me, though.
I forget how I qualified for nationals or at Worlds. I think I must have did a tournament that was a qualifier, but it was the same thing. I don't remember how I placed either, but it was like just show up and you place.
Now the rules, you talking about 2021?
Yeah, when I saw you there in Florida that year, I ended up, I think I got bronze in the Masters 50 against Steve Walker, and then that big guy from Canada, Lars or Lands or something like that. Anyways, this big freak guy. He I thought that was a good tournament. I got a win finally back on Chuck Young.
Good old
dude. I went to the Olympia and did Arm Wars. We were talking earlier about like Devastation losing. I remember going there. It was all these years I bodybuilt for like 30 years. I never went to the Olympia. It's my 2nd year arm wrestling, and I got invited to go to Arm Wars at the Olympia. And I fight Chuck Young, and he beats me 6-0. And, Chuck back in the days yelling and screaming. To this day, I never, ever watched the video I took on. That's funny. My wife just found the camcorder that I had. It's on that friggin' camcorder, and to this day, I never watched it. And they never ever showed it, actually. It didn't even make the episode, so I was so happy. I was like, but then I got to beat him. Like whatever it was, like 10 years later or whatever. So it was nice. But I like Chuck. We became good friends. He made me t-shirt. He made a t-shirt for the match, and he was always cool, man. I liked him a lot. We hung out at the Olympia. He's fun.
Quick story about that. There's a reason why your match never showed up, because I myself went to Arm Wars, but I went across the pond to go.
Mm-hmm.
And and you should know how they do things. When you're scheduled for one opponent, that's going to be the one that's shown. But then after that, it was like, Neil was like, hey, how do you feel? I feel pretty good. Good. You're pulling that guy in about 15 minutes. Get ready. That's how it went down.
Oh, yeah.
So there's matches that took place that'll never see.
Do you know what? I did pull, I pulled that kid from Colorado. That was really good. Fuck, Chris, I think his name. I think he had cancer or something.
Oh, Chris Kaufman.
Yes. Dude, he smashed me left-handed, but I didn't really care about left-handed back then. I really wasn't. I was just kind of messing around, but he was really good. So I lost, like, I didn't even win a match. But yeah, I remember that. That was I see him coming back now. That's really good.
Yeah, he's looking all swole too, man.
I know, yeah.
Good thing. Good on him.
You know, I want to talk to you a little bit because you had mentioned about, like, because I was thinking about this when I was getting ready for the show. I feel like I wish things were, and I love progression in the sport and stuff, but I really miss the times where you would go to nationals and, like, Jerry, Travis, Ron Bath, all those guys would be in like one class, and you get to watch them battle out for, you know, a tournament. They'd have to have, like, you know, 6-7 matches, maybe a couple wars. They're pulling a bunch of different opponents and stuff. And now for me, like, I'm like, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but I'm really over the East versus West bullshit because I enjoy the matches, but I got to watch it on replay, dude. I can't fucking sit there for 12 hours anymore and watch this all day. It's dragging. I just, you know, I'll support it and buy it, and I'll do the replay now. But yeah, dude, like 6, 7, 8. I mean, you're watching arm wrestling, and then they're taking breaks and shit. It's just so monotonous. You know, I spent so many Saturdays sitting there all day. Like, it's really, they got to come back. I mean, it's got to be some kind of better setup where the matches aren't that long. I mean, it's just crazy the amount of time they take. But I like those tournaments where you'd go and, you know, see these tournaments where they pull like 5 or 6, you know, world or national champions, and now you're not going to see that anymore because, you know, they progress to this bigger level of sports, but it's like a drag. It just takes forever, dude. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like it's just so long. And if you're not even like a big fan of the sport, like other eyes on the sport, like not arm wrestlers, how can someone sit there? Because, you know, it's fucking too long, in my opinion, for like a normal, like, casual person to want to watch that.
No, you're absolutely right. We can, you know, go in a bunch of directions with this topic. So, yes, and first of all, I mean, how many times? There are times my wife was like, how many pay-per-views you order in the last couple of months? Oh, fuck. Because again, Arm Gods was one, Knuckles Up was one, East vs. West was one, King of the Table was another. I'm thinking, damn, they go in Mac now. So it's like, shit. So I had to be real choosy about which ones I ordered. Like, I'm ordering this one because, I mean, I want to see Jerry and Vitalia been talking about that. For sure. Yeah, you got to have that. Also want to see Barbora and Gabby, so I'm really pushing
Me too. Yeah, I like that.
But too. If it starts at 10 a.m.,
dude, it's like 6 o'clock.
Scheduled at 10 a.m., but they don't get off to like 10:36 or some shit. It's like, all right, man. You know, you have a watch party, whatever, and then all of a sudden, it's fucking 4 in the afternoon. Of course, you know, my wife's like, y'all still going? You know, and because, again, you're blowing, you know, you only get 2 days of a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You blew half of it on the pay-per-view. So it's like, okay, it got to a point where I'll order it, watch here and there. Me and the wife, you can go do some, hang out, go out to, you know, lunch or whatever, go do some, you know, housework.
have a whole day, right. Come back at like 4 hours later.
Then when I come back and watch it, then I can just fast forward through all the other nonsense.
Yeah.
So I can do it that way. But don't get me wrong, I'm not downing it, but it's like I still paid for it, so I'm still supported. But all the other in-between stuff. And then certain matches are like, and I mean matches, I mean the actual super match between the two competitors are fucking 40 minutes long. Like, why?
Dude, it's crazy. It's so
fucking
crazy.
Go ahead and do the shit. We don't need all the other shenanigans. It just makes it long and drawn out. But that's a whole nother topic. But yes, I mean, to answer your other part of that question, when you said some of the tournaments that had all the big names in there, I think because, again, we talked about the sport evolving. So, you know, if someone they asked me one time, they said, how come we don't see all the big names at nationals or worlds anymore? I said, because they've been there and done that. Think about that. Travis has a WAF world title. Been there and done that. Ron Bath, WAF world title. Been there and done that. Brzink, Dave Chafee, WAF world title. Been there and done that. Why would they even go back? And now when those guys, and you throw in Jerry Catterall, another one, wow for a title, and I don't think Tazilla has one, but he's been overseas. So those elite guys, right? When they are on the elite stage and they're getting, and I don't know what their pay is, but when you're getting hotel paid for you, airfare paid for you, and then you got a match, and if you win, there's a winning purse too. Like when you get that established, why would you want to go back to that where you got to pay out of pocket? Nothing comes out of it. So I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some people who still want to go, you know what? I'm never going to be on an elite stage. And I always tell people, everybody has a different path in the sport. My path is not mine, but just in general. My path is to be the best guy on that stage, work my butt off, wait for a call, do what I got to do. This guy, well, maybe my path is to go on an international level and compete at a world, on the world stage. Okay, cool. Oh, there's Mac. Oh, there's Tough. There's different organizations, to do that. So, my path right now is to compete on an international level. Like I said, I've gone to Mexico earlier this summer. I went to Canada earlier this month. So for me to compete on an international level, I like that because now it's like you get to compete against strong people who are not familiar with you on the table, but seeing videos of you and vice versa. So I want to see what all the hubbub is about. So that's what I do. But I think to answer your question, though, it's just some of the guys that we're used to seeing that we don't see anymore is because they kind of been there, done that. And so now maybe they're passing the torch. And then now we got to take up the torch and go be those people for the people watching us. So I guess it's a lot of torch passing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I see that. You know what I would like to see too would be interesting is an East versus West tournament. So if you had like the 105 class and all those guys they pulled in a tournament and the winner won maybe not the belt or something, but got a shot at the champ or whatever. Maybe the champ sits out or whatever. I just like to see those like different matchups and see people pull multiple guys in like a tournament kind of setting. I just feel like sometimes the super matches, I mean, unless they're close, I mean, they're great, but I don't know. It just seems like it takes so long. I just like to see,
Right.
I guess I'm in more of a tournament kind of mindset lately. I like watching tournaments now. I like seeing the different factors that go into it. Because, like, if you watch a match, and we'll take Devin for an example, because it takes an hour for him to do a match. Like, now I just shut it off, and then I watch the replay because it's just so much shenanigans. But if it was a tournament where, you had to get up there, pull, and then you know what I'm saying? Like, you go on to the next guy, and then I just feel like, I don't know, it'd be a different factors. You would have to pull multiple styles and stuff. I mean, it would just be interesting to me if the elite guys pulled in a tournament where they gave away like $100,000 for the winner or something. I mean, make it fun.
I think, and maybe we'll come back to that, but Travis is all about tournaments. That's, how he thrived. But if, well, that's the good thing about WAL. They were giving out a bunch of money for the tournament, but once they went
never super matches really till later, right? Like
right,
there were super matches at the end.
Which was honestly when they first came out with that was awesome because you didn't have to travel over to Arm Wars to go see something in person. So, or you didn't have to wait for it to get filmed and are you going to put it out or not? But when WAL went from tournament to like super match series, at first it was exciting, it was cool, but then they only had their people. Like they had like 20, 30 people, guys and girls, and that's all they had. And then, you can only do so many matches with that before you start regurgitating some stuff. Because even, honestly, before the pandemic hit, I have a WL contract sitting right here in this file cabinet. Now it's just a souvenir. So I was on my way. I was ready because up until that point, I was making waves and stuff, and they got a hold of me and stuff. And, hey, I was talking to the people like on email basis, phone call basis. Hey, what's your weight? Where are you from? This, that, and the other. Here's a contract. This is what it looks like when we get you on here. So I got it sitting right here. I signed it and everything, but then the pandemic hit, crushed everything, right? So, like I said, now it's just a souvenir. But, and we all kept hearing the rumors about how Wall was coming back. And I'm like, you know what? Because where we're at right now with the Supermatch format, The only way Wall could ever work now if you just went tournament format, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, it's different because you're not trying to compete with the others. Tournament format and watch how many people show up.
With super matches, I feel like Arm Wars has that. Like, I love that production where they do it, they edit it all out, and then they release it. And I guess it kind of sucks to wait to see who wins or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's a better production to sell to the public because nobody that's not an arm wrestler is going to sit and watch East versus West to the start to finish. I don't believe that they're selling anything that's that. It's all arm wrestlers that are buying it. And just like you said, they're watching it, they're coming back, they're rewinding it. They're not, you know, unless you're like me, an idiot, and you sit there the whole time with your kids and watch arm wrestling for fucking 12 hours. It's just not a package that you're going to really make a lot of money at doing it. But I feel like Neil has a setup, and maybe like if that could be released the next week a little quicker, you know, maybe that would be a little bit better for the consumer, especially us, you know what I mean? But I just feel like I want to see something that's quicker with, you know, I want to see a match, get the results within 15, 20 minutes and not, like you said, it's crazy when you watch some of these matches, the setup, the refs bullshitting, you know, sometimes they don't know what they're doing. The refs are not, you know what I mean? It's just not professional. It doesn't, when they edit the video and they put it on YouTube, yeah, man, that's incredible. But I just feel like, I don't know. It's just, I know it's hard. I know it's hard to do all this stuff live, but I just don't feel like arm wrestling is a sport that you can sell to the masses on a stage like that. That's all, you know.
There's a lot that goes into editing process. So like, okay, so let me ask you this. When you went to Arm Wars with Kaufman and Chuck Young and stuff, what was your experience? What was that like when they did that with you?
I was amazing. Like, but I was new in the sport, and it was the first time I was ever exposed to anything. So I thought I was a superstar, you know. And I met John Berzink, I met Richard Lupkes, I met Lars, I met everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, but it was not like I thought it would be, because it was just the background drop was really cool, and then the way they film it gives you the illusion on TV that you're, you know, but some of them, they were on top of a building and stuff, but this was at an expo, and they really made it look cool.
Right.
But like I said, I didn't get to see I did see some, you know, footage of the matches afterwards and stuff, but the production was like didn't cost a lot. I don't think the production was a lot. Like the setting up a room, the lighting and all that stuff. And it's just like the editing might take some time, but if you put that money into having like 5 or 6 guys do the editing or something, how long is that going to take to edit all those matches? And if you got full-time guys working at it for like a week, or maybe don't do as many matches, or do a series, or, you know, like I feel like with the East versus West, how many matches are there? Like 15? Like, it's just crazy, the card. Like 12 matches, say, just for shits and giggles, and they're just going to take forever. And it's just not, to me, when you want to watch the main event, you're burnt out by that time. If you're sitting there and you want to watch the whole thing, like UFC, they do it in 3 hours. Like it's like, you know what I mean? So
boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, they're just gotta. And I understand it's 5-minute rounds or 15 minutes, but it just gotta be something different, you know. So
hell, even Arm Wars, when I went there, 6 matches, 6 rounds, and we're still done before one of Devin's matches. Like, you know, okay, I'll give you an example. So when you edit everything out, that was 22 minutes. Because when I went there, it was different because we were in a house. And so, you know, the background said Iron House, you know, 3 or whatever, you know, you're there. You got, and I'm telling you right now, the cameras they got, the fucking lights, you were sweating. I mean, it was hot there. So you got your guys in your corner, you know, you got the guys in the balcony watching, you know, shouting things, cheering you on and stuff. And for me, that was cool because I had guys from different countries in my corner and guys from other countries in, you know, my opponent's corner. You know, that was cool. The documentary, even though the way they did it, it was cool because, okay, now it's, you know, Adrian Popescu versus Jody Williams, United States versus Romania, coming at you to kick things off. I remember. So we did the whole show live, right, with all the matches. Then they chopped it up and released one by one like that. Because if you were a member of Arm Wars, then you saw the whole thing. Whereas if you wasn't, you had to wait till like they released match here, match there. So it kept you like, ooh, I can't wait for the next one. So I think that was the wow factor that Neil was looking at. But then for some way, you know, once East vs. West got big, once King of Table got big, they kind of laid off of that. You know, then they had the dark card. But by far, and I'm going to say this on my chest, the best time I ever had on an arm wrestling stage was Arm Wars, because, and I know the guys from Arm Guys are going to be pissed off when I say that, but I've never been to their, you know, production over there in Ireland. I only did it in Philadelphia. And even then, I thought it was great, but they told me that's not the real. So, but I was very grateful that I was able to be a part of that. If I ever got a chance to go again, given the situation, you know, I would. I mean, you had a custom-made jersey with your face and stuff on the back. So that was they did it. They did it good, man. They did it good.
Knuckles Up did a good production too. Like, I thought that was bearable. You know what I mean? I just feel like, I guess maybe quicker. I don't know. But I wonder too, like, and I don't know anything about it. I'm just talking out of my ass, but like the pay-per-view versus the amount of money it costs to set up the pay-per-view, like, I'm just wondering if it would be, you know, a lot more profitable if you just edit these videos and then charge a membership on whatever channel you're using, and then you release them, you know, a couple days after the match. But I guess people they definitely want to see it as is, or they don't tell the people about the matches and they release them like they sort of did with I think some of the Arm Wars matches, you didn't know about it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, Devin pulled what's his face here or whatever.
Yeah, Jablonski and stuff like it was the dark card or whatever.
Yeah. So I just feel like I'm thinking about just how they would sell it to the non-arm wrestling public, because if the arm wrestlers are the only ones buying the pay-per-views and they're only ones showing up, it just stays in this group, right? And then maybe it grows a little bit because new people come into the sport or your friend watches it or whatever. But if you really want to get it to that next level, I'm just wondering, like, it's just got to be more user friendly, I guess, is what I'm getting at. It's just hard to be, you know, watching, you know, like even the Tour de France, like you're going to watch that for like fucking 12 hours and then, you know, come back to it the next day. It's just got to be more marketable, I think. And just, I don't know, the pay-per-views, it just isn't, are they making that much money off the pay-per-views, do you think?
I don't know per se, but the
like
problem,
where do you think they're making the money at to make it worth it? You know, like, because Robert's not stupid. Like, they got to have, I guess, like, is it the sponsorship? Do you think, or is it
all the above, the pay-per-view, the sponsorship? Because if you really think about it, there may be some stuff you probably don't want to know about. Because let's talk about Knuckles Up. And I'm not saying this is the reason why they went under, but when you start flying people in from different part of the countries, not everybody's plane ticket's going to be the same.
No.
You know, if you fly Gabby in, guess what? Her husband's coming. That's another X amount of money for his ticket too. You know, and
but they had a guy doing the production there that was doing it for free, basically, right? Like, because he was part of the team. So,
well, here's the thing, Craig. Everybody wants to get paid nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
That old, like my grandfather taught me, the old mighty dollar. Everybody wants to get paid now. So I think sometimes what keeps our sport from going mainstream is greed, power, and ego. Those are the three things that'll keep this sport where it's at and not flourish. You know, I mean, some of the promoters out there are greedy. They got egos, right?
So do you think that's keeping it? Money. You think that might be keeping it from growing? Do you think the pullers wanting too much money maybe and not wanting to do these matches for free, or not free, but you know what I mean? Like,
well, here's the thing. So some of these pullers deserve that. You know, they pay their dues. I get that. Not everybody does. And once you get a bite of that apple or a piece of that pie, then anything else that doesn't match up to this right here, you're going to, you know, scoff at. Unfortunately, that's what you're going to do. Now, we all know not everybody's on the same pay scale too, though, right? So let's just take me, for example. If I went to an event and they say, hey, Jody, all we can do is give you $250, I'm okay with that. I'm not asking for the farm, you know, because I want to compete. And hopefully when I get out there, I'm going to make a show about it. I'm gonna get everybody excited, and I'm gonna do the best I can on that fucking table. You don't have to pay me bingo bongo bucks, or some people are like that. That's just the way it is, And if you do that, first of all, you gotta know your budget. If I invite this person, they're gonna be asking for this much. If I invite that person, they're gonna ask for that much. And maybe that's where Knuckles Up kind of got in trouble, because when you're flying people from Brazil, flying people from South Korea, Australia, the UK, that shit costs money. Where that money was coming, I have no idea. But if you notice, though, from Knuckles Up 1, where they're fucking bringing everybody in there, the red carpet, when you land, they picked you up. They give you a fucking, a bag of fucking, a goodie bag with all kind of, stuff. And then, as they went on, they took you out to eat. And now all of a sudden, now that's not there as much anymore. You're exhausting your, when you start inviting everybody, and it's like going, okay, well, shit,
It's sort of what Robert Drake did when I first got in the sport with the UAL. He was doing all that big dinners. Bruce Buffer was announcing, have UFC fighters showing up. You're on a huge stage. It's crazy. But the kickback is you're not making any money out of it. You're just putting more money into it, trying to sell a product, maybe thinking that, a big company like Zuffa or someone's going to pick it up. But if Slap is doing so good, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a ridiculous sport in my eyes. Like, that's got like eyes on it, and those guys are like selling it. It's just like, we can't have something like to have arm wrestling that way. If we could just quicken up the matches, maybe it's the best 2 out of 3. I don't know. Like, it just seems to be like, to get more eyes on the sport. I just wonder why it's the same template over and over again, and it keeps failing, and people keep doing the same template. More so now, it's pay-per-view and stuff. Like to me, the East versus West and the WAL seems to be the same type of product, a little quicker, with the matchups or whatever, but it's the same sort of thing, right? You're selling pay-per-views, you're having the best guys in the world compete against each other, and then you're trying to sell it to the crowd, right? So, but
now the production's got a lot better. You see the crowd has got bigger.
Yeah, of course.
From that standpoint, I mean, it's good from that standpoint, but those are all arm wrestling fans. And I think if you want to get it to the public, first of all, how's the public going to buy into a pay-per-view when they don't know it yet? Think about that for a second. I mean, this is just me. I'm not saying I'm right, but if you want to get our sport mainstream where people who are not our arm wrestling fan want to see it, why the fuck would you put it on pay-per-view? Because then it's like, okay, well, if I never knew about the sport, I want to know about it. I got to purchase that first.
Yeah.
Because with the UFC, not all UFCs are on pay-per-view. There are some preliminaries that lead up to that. Think about it. On Fox, you got maybe 6 matches that lead up to the main event. Once you get to the main event, then it's on pay-per-view. Maybe you do it that way.
The prelims are always,
yes. Because then, while you're doing the prelims, you're pumping up with the main event. Hey, if you want to see this match, hey, boom, pay-per-view. But, I mean, who knows? I think Mac is starting to go that route. You got your prelims and you got your main event.
Mac was quick though. I mean, I watched the I don't know which pay-per-view it was, but it was like the one John made the announcement that he was coming back on and stuff, and that was the first Mac that I watched, from start to finish, and it was quick, dude, and was exciting. There was like, I don't know, like what Ian's doing there, I like that product. Like, it was really, maybe the guys, because I didn't know them that well, and I got to know them watching them compete and stuff, because there was some really good pullers there, but I don't know how good they are, because they're not pulling guys, on the top of the sport, but they seem to be really competitive, and it seemed to be more exciting. I love this event. They were walking to the ring. They had the mics on. Everything just seemed to be choreographed a lot quicker, and the matches seemed to be a lot faster. The setup's a lot, you know what I mean? Like how he's doing the setup, it just seems like you're up there and the matches are quick. So
because here's the thing, there's no bullshit. Here's the thing, man, and I'm gonna say this, and like I said, I say things that may get,
Well, we like these people. Like I love Devin. He's a great guy. I love hanging out with him when I see him. He's done a lot. He called me when I broke my arm the second time. Like I love Devin, but I can't watch his matches anymore. It's just too long. I don't like the humiliation ritual that he does. I know he does this whole war thing and whatever, right? And to watch his sons do it, it's just cringe to me now, and
Right.
I'm just not a fan of that. But I love that he's great at arm wrestling. He's training, and I get that works for him. I'm just not a fan. But the guy's a great human being. His kids seem to be great. I mean, I did meet them when I went to the bottom 8. Like, he gave me an opportunity, paid me to go to Canada. Like, he's a great person, but as far as an arm wrestling like that, I don't know who wants to watch that. That's not as in the sport, because to me, it's like a humiliation ritual. And
Right.
the only way you see revenge is when he pulls Levon. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only way you see revenge. If you want to say, oh, he's the bad guy, and then, hey, here's Levon. He's the big mountain to climb, and no one seems to be able to figure him out. So then there's revenge there. But leading up, like, I'm not excited to watch any of his matches anymore, because I know the whole scenario. It's going to be 45 minutes, and he's going to end up, beating the guy through the war tactics that he uses to manipulate the situation, and
Right.
everybody falls for it. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
so.
the thing is, he's a master manipulator. He
Yes.
plays the game good.
Yeah.
Some
So, but it
people-
takes a long time. You know what I mean?
Right.
It takes a long time.
Well,
So-
the problem is that,
So that's the guy that's the has the most following on YouTube,
Yeah.
makes the most money, and he's the guy that has all the eyes on him. And this is the product that he's presenting to the public. I just don't feel like it's. I mean, people do love him on his YouTube and stuff. It's great, but the arm wrestling just doesn't. I don't think that is going to sell to the masses. It just takes too long to get the setups going.
Well, I'll say this: what you see on the table with Devin is not who you see off the table.
No, not at
You
all.
know,
It's a whole
great
it's a
human
character.
being, family guy, this, that, and the other. On the table, he can be a total dick. But the problem I see, and his sons kind of follow suit because, they are who they are.
Yeah,
But
of course.
same thing with his sons, Auden and Milo. They're off the table. They're awesome kids. Here's the problem I see, though. Because of what those guys do on the table, all the amateurs are seeing that, and they want to mimic that. I'm like, no.
Mhm.
And that's that. And we're at this weird, awkward stage now. They want to talk the trash. They want to cheat in the setup. And, here's the thing. Going back to what we said about Mac. Reason why Mac is a boom, 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 boom. They can have just as many matches, if not more, than East versus West. They can sit there and get through it because of this. They don't fuck around. When the ref says don't fucking move, guess what? Don't fucking move. Stop giving all these arm wrestlers extra chances and stuff. And because we all grew up in this sport where wherever the ref said goes, right?
Mhm.
So if the ref says in the ref script, don't fucking move, guess what? Don't fucking move. But then for some way, because people bought the pay-per-view and we don't want to see a bunch of elbow fight, we want to see a match. All right, then tell the fucking pullers to knock it off and follow the fucking rules. It's not that fucking hard. Not just Devin, but there's other guys out there on the east side of this East versus West that do the fucking same thing. Like, knock it off. Like, fucking put your elbow down, grip up. When the ref says go, do what you got to do. But it's the loading up and the fall. Fuck it. Why are we doing that? Just follow what the ref says. Follow the actual rules. Stop the arguing. Like, fuck it. We don't need to see all that kind of stuff. But then I think
do you think the refs have to take more control of the match, maybe too?
Yes, they
or
do.
Yeah.
Take control, but don't take too much control where it's about you, though. Don't do that. But just take control, because once the ref loses control, which says, hey, if you do it again, I'm going to foul you. Well, fuck, you done fuck that whole thing up now, because now every guy's going to fucking do that now. Because you done gave one guy an opportunity to keep messing up. Okay, how many times we say, don't move, and move. Okay, guys, I want to run this. You fucked everything up now by doing that. Just that little thing right there, because not everyone's going to fucking do it. Add that stuff up. Now you're watching a pay-per-view an hour longer than you need to when you add everything up,
Yeah, like some of these matches are like an hour long almost. It's like crazy.
You don't need to. You can't sell that product if it's 40 minutes of like fucking,
But somehow they must think they are if they're making these people main events, because it puts more eyes on them. So I know people are watching it because of Devin. It's just that I just feel like if you want to get the mainstream out there, I don't know. I just feel like those matches got to be sped up a little bit. But I don't want to beat a dead horse. I really appreciate what East versus West is doing, Robert. Brian Shaw when he had the his tournament and stuff, and they collided. It's really great. I really appreciate everything Devin's done for the sport. He's got more eyes on the sport than any other puller out there. I mean, so I'm not trying to shit on their product. I'm just wondering, because I don't know. Like I'm just a guy here that's fucking been in the sport for 13 years, and I just see the progression of UAL crash, WAL crash, East versus West, kind of linger, and it's
KOT
holding on.
Crashed.
And, yeah, and like the other one from New York that we just talked about,
Knuckles Up.
Yeah, that didn't pay some of the athletes, I heard, and we see that time and time again. These promoters make these broken promises. Even at these small little events, I saw one happen in I think it was Tennessee. They had the cash got all mixed up, and that kind of got slipped under. Like no one's paying anybody back, as far as I heard, anyway. But just these things with arm wrestling. I mean, I feel like it's just one of those sports where now you have people that maybe been in the sport 8 or 9 years that are good, that won't pull a super match unless they get paid $5,000, on their flight and shit. And then how does a company or an organization be able to stay afloat if no one's like, you know what I mean? Like no one's really, and I know some guys that, they won't pull for less than that, you know what I mean? Like, and it just gets, I don't know. I just feel like it's just, like this new I saw another one, Natty Bros, like, they've got some big matches. Chance is pulling Nick Stone at this, and, and I know that's costing a little bit of money to get those people out there and do these matches. So it's just, I don't know. I just feel like.
Now that's a different kind of, that's like an auction. Like you go up there, who wants to put money? I mean, you got people throwing $100 bills. Oh, I'll put 50 on it. Like they're coming out of the whoop, just throwing out money. Cause I remember Todd Zilla went there one time. RBJ went there one time, and they're throwing out cash like it's like a fucking auction. So
what,
I mean, that's
Natty
different.
Bros, the Natty Bros are? Okay.
Yeah.
So what do they do? They're betting on the matches there? Or?
Well, it's like, instead of saying a promoter's putting up cash, they got people in the crowd saying, and in Montana, they got some, cowboys out there, they got money out there. So they're like putting out, oh, who wants to bet on this match? Here, I'll throw $50 toward the whoever wants the winner can get that.
Okay.
I'll throw out 100. So next thing you know, if you're good enough and you got a name, you can make $4,000 off that one match.
But how do the people they're throwing the money make money? Are they just giving the money? They're donating it for the match? That's going to happen, even though the match is going to happen anyway?
Yeah, they're just donating the money.
Okay. And they do nice, well.
But
okay.
Can you expect all the time?
So the fans are supporting the event is what's going on there. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I know Chance is doing something, and I want to kind of talk about it real quick anyway before I wrap this up because we're getting into the 2-hour mark, and I'm going to have to break it into probably 2 parts because how people are, dude. But I could talk to you for like 4 hours, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we'll have to do this again for sure. Maybe before the match, our match, and then after you have your tournament and stuff, we could talk about the outcome. But Chance is doing something. He just made a post, and I just shared it on my Facebook where he's going to do some filming, and he's going to do these super matches, and sort of like what Arm Wars is doing. I do believe it's going to be set up like that, and it's going to be in like a nice, like Ponce Inlet on the beach, nice background and stuff like that, and some matches. And I think that's going to be a trial run, but I think he's getting into doing something like that, and I support that. I think that's a great idea. I think that gets exposure out there, and I think like it makes it more user friendly for the public to want to gravitate to watching that. I was told Michael Todd too, we had this conversation a few times, and I told him like back in the day before, he was doing Arm Wars and shit, but I was like, you got to have a YouTube channel, you got to promote yourself, you got to have like almost like a fucking Walmart figure and shit, like a character, like create a character, which he's doing now, of course, but like create a character, and then you're like being able to support your arm wrestling through your social media, through sponsors, and through your own promotions. Because to rely on a company like, say East versus West or whatever to promote you, and then you're going to make this money off of, I really don't think that's really going to happen. I think you got to do it on your own like Devin's doing, and then you bring your platform to the event or league that you're competing in, and then you bring more eyes on that. And I don't know. I just feel like, that you got to almost do it on your own, and then you bring it to that platform. It's just, I don't know if people, you're able to make the money to make it worth doing all this stuff. You know what I mean? So
it's funny you say that because I just made a post, was it yesterday? And 2 people just got sponsored. So you have Katie Marie out of North Carolina, I believe, Dustin DeWoody out of Texas, and the TAL, Texas Arm Wrestling League, they sponsored Dustin DeWoody. So wherever he goes, I don't know if they're paying for the entry fee or the hotel and airfare or whatever. They're taking care of him where he goes, and he has a match at the Monster Factory.
Is that Dustin Pulls? Dustin Pulls?
Yeah,
Is that
that's him.
Okay, yeah. So he's always putting himself out there and marketing himself on his own. So that's great. Yeah, good for him.
And now Katie Marie, nicknamed the Amazon, because how many women are 6'1", by the way? So there's that, right?
Oh,
and she's very strong. She has a powerlifting background. So she's out of North Carolina, and as you know, the 98%, in Carolina, they sponsored her. Okay. So now she's a sponsored athlete. But here's the thing, though, I think people need to understand: when you're a sponsored athlete, now that could be a target on your back, because everybody's watching now. Because now, if you don't produce, then you got to make it to where you got to keep sponsoring me, right? So if I'm a sponsored athlete by whoever, which I'm not right now, if I'm a sponsored athlete and I'm kicking ass and taking names, they're going to go, yeah, I sponsor him. I'm wearing the shirt with their logo, this, that, and the other. I'm putting it out there and stuff. Now, if I'm taking some ass whippings left and right, then they're going to say, okay, give us a reason why we got to keep sponsoring you if you're going to go out there and still take a bunch of losses. You know what I'm saying?
But even if you're not taking ass whoopings and you're destroying everybody, like, what is the following? Like, say you're not on Instagram, you have like 1,000 people following you. Like, how is that going to make them money with that low following platform? And then you got a guy that's, say, mediocre that has 100,000 people watching. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just. Right. It's like you got to have a platform to, because when people say, oh, I'm sponsored and it's a powerlifting girl from like North Carolina or whatever, like where is she, like, does she have a huge following on social media? Like, is she bringing more eyes to the sport? Like, you just did an interview with that girl. I caught the end of it, that one that's pulling the girl from Canada.
Ashley Hoyta.
So she's a power lifter, I'm taking it, right? So
she's a bench presser.
Yeah, so she's a world champion like bench presser. So she's well known in that sport. So those eyes from her sport over in, where's she from? Australia?
New Zealand.
So they're gonna bring that look over there. So that's somebody like that, she does good in the sport. Like Ian will gravitate to her and be able to use her to get more eyes on the sport. So that's someone that's really worth sponsoring, right? So because she has a following, has this, platform where more people can, buy the pay-per-view or stuff like that. But even if you're a great puller and you're smashing everybody and you don't have a social media presence, like, you know what I mean? Like, when I started doing arm wrestling radio, I got sponsorships from people were sending me. I got 5 or 6. I probably got like 100 different handles in my garage, dude, from people throwing them at me, just saying, hey, because I had a platform. Hey, talk about this, talk about that. I got invited to go to matches because I was out there speaking and stuff and promoting and stuff. It wasn't because I was a good arm wrestler. It was because I had a little platform before everybody jumped on and have a channel now. Now it's just, mediocre. I got a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube or whatever. But back in the day when Gary was done, I started jumping on the bandwagon going, oh, let me interview people and give them a platform. It was still, we were doing the underground or whatever and stuff. But thing about it is like, that's what I'm saying. Like, those people, maybe they do bring more eyes. And then, you just have like different people like Brian Shaw, Larry Wheels. Those people brought a lot of people in. Brian, has brought a lot of power people in. Now you got the powerlifting or strongman guys in the sport, and now you got
Robert,
more eyes
Eddie
on.
Hall, Robert Oberth, all those guys.
So hopefully that can branch off and you get more people. But once again, it's the athletes that are that are bringing, you know what I mean? It's not the mainstream public, basically. So
right. I think with Katie, and I'm gonna have her on my show. She doesn't know this yet, but when I have her on my show, she's in the early stages because now that she's an athlete, there's her pictures of her, like still frames like this, Now she has some her with her hair done in a dress, power, broad shoulders, black and white photos. She did a video and stuff. So right now she's in the very early stages of getting herself out there, and I think it'll work. But now when you do that kind of stuff, you got to make it count, but you got to make it count outside your area of North Carolina. You got to go to a bigger tournament and make some noise, not just hang out in your own, body of water, so to speak. That's where it counts. So,
well, who was that girl from Canada that was a powerlifting bench press girl, and then she went and fought Gabby and got smoked?
Oh, Jocelyn?
Yeah. So like example there, like you get to that certain stage, and then it's like what, you know what I mean? Like it just. It's like build up, then you get smashed at the high level, and then does your following still follow? You know what I mean? Like it just
all it took was that one pin on Sarah Backman.
Yes.
And then everything else just exploded because then after that round robin where she pinned Sarah, the following week she went to Mac Ian's event, beat Heidi Kortner. Okay. Now her trajectory went up. Then it was like, okay, let's get her to rematch with Bachman on East vs. West. Smoked her there. Now it's like, okay, now here comes Egla, here comes Gabby, and then she took a couple of hard losses, but we're talking the elite ladies. And now she had to regroup because she went to WAP Worlds. She took a third place with the left hand and sixth with the right. Okay. And now she's just kind of like, yeah, let's go. All it takes is that one win, that one opportunity that somebody sees and talks about and put on social media, and boom, there it is. So for Dustin DeWitty, Katie Marie, now that you guys are sponsored athletes, you got to go out there and make it count. So for Dustin, Monster Factory, okay, big stage, make it happen. Katie, I don't know where her next tournament is, but if she can come out of the North Carolina area, go somewhere else like Florida, make a big name for herself, because someone's going to be filming and watching. And now with social media, the way it is, someone's going to like have it, live feed on their channel or whatever. All it takes is you to get that one win. Somebody will see it, repost it. Boom, there you go. You're off to the races.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, that's a good analogy on that.
And sometimes you got to have somebody film your matches, and then you post it, hang out for a little bit, wait for a few weeks or a month or two, post another one. Like when I left Canada, I had to beat one of the strong guys from the Ukraine. I was told when I went there, hey man, don't go into the hook with this guy. Okay, fine. I'll stay outside, and he fucking blasted me over. I'm thinking, okay, well, you know what? I'm on the B side now, so I got no choice but to go inside. Fuck it, whatever. Went inside, stopped him, pulled him back over. I'm thinking, oh, I got a lane. I'm gonna do the same fucking thing. Come back again for the finals. Got to the strap again, gripped up, fucking went inside here. He got me out here. I stopped him, brought him back over. First place against the Ukraine guy. Bam, there it is. You post it, sit back for a little bit. Then the next time you post it again in still footage, sit back a little bit, and then maybe a few more weeks later, you make that as a profile pic. That's how you do things. That's how I do things.
No, it's smart. So what do you think about what the trajectory is going in the sport? Before we end this, I want to get your kind of opinion. What do you think, or what would you like to see change, or what do you think how things are progressing?
Enough of the fucking drama. I'm so over this shit, and I see why a lot of people get out of sport. And you know what? I would love to touch base on this before we put a bow tie on this, because I think that if and we'll start with the promoters, because promoters are just as guilty, because they'll tell people, oh, don't go to this event, come to mine. Why the fuck are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. Why are you poaching people, putting people in an area where, oh, don't go there, come to mine? Like, don't do that shit, man. These are grown adults. If they want to go support somebody, let them go support that. I mean, they get some promoters, not all, but some get real paranoid about that stuff. And, if they put all that energy into their events instead of fucking trying to backstab each other, poaching athletes from their own events or climbing that mountain and stepping on people's hand in the process, this sport would be a lot better than it is right now. That shit didn't bleed into the pullers. You got, like I said, there's a distinction why the women division is not where it should be right now because too many fucking cat fights. I don't want to pull this woman because she disrespected me. Well, fuck. Have you seen a Devin Larrett fucking match? He fucking disrespects his opponents all the time. What the fuck are you talking about? If that's the case, fucking beat her on the table, walk away. That's it. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it's like, well, I'm not going to pull because she called me a name or she disrespected me. It's like, you know what? Enough with that shit. All that fucking training you do, posing and flexing in the mirror and shit. You post it on social media, but yet you don't want to pull nobody. Blows my fucking mind. Grow the fuck up or stop posting shit. Walk away from the sport. Stop ducking and diving. We all train to compete. Fucking compete. That's all there is to it. Stop doing that shit. As I say, it's just and like I said, those are just the athletes. Then you got like the promoters, same thing. They do it on the slide behind the scenes. I know some people do it behind the scenes. I don't necessarily like it, but at the same time, it's like, fuck. Every promoter does stuff a little bit different, which is why you're gonna have some people, for example, they're gonna go, hey, I support TAL, Texas Arm Wrestling League. I support Arm Sports Entertainment. I support, MAC, whatever the league there is. Certain people are gonna go to certain things because they like what product they got. That's a good thing. Yeah. But when you start stepping on people's toes and saying, hey, come to my event, don't go to that one, that's when you start messing things up. And it gets murky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's right. So basically get rid of the drama.
Yes.
You're in an alpha sport. Just go with the flow and not take things to heart. You know what I mean? We're just pulling. We're just competing. We're trying to make the sport better and push it to the masses so that we can all benefit and watch it grow as we get, onto our, older age and watch these people, the younger generation get into to the sport, Well, Jody, man, I really want to thank you for coming on the show, brother. We could talk forever. I really appreciate it. I'd like to have you on for part 7.
Hell yeah, man. I'm excited, man. And like I said, had I known ahead of time that you were looking for a left-handed match, I'm like, well, fuck, let's do this shit. But I didn't know.
I know. We've been talking about this for years, dude. So one of these days, I'll have to get you down to Florida, maybe.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Because we went down there earlier in August for vacation. We're down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
So yeah, we'll do something like that. We'll hook it up. We'll make it happen. All
right, brother. It was good talking to you, man. You have a great night, and I'll see you soon. Chocolate Thunder is out of here, baby.
Take care, y'all.